Hi guys, Kim here at Olive City Permaculture. It is May 12th and it is long past time for a garden tour, and boy do I know it. The fact is we've had such a strange year weather-wise, in my opinion at least, and I've been keeping track for the last few years, and it has been getting colder and wetter in the winter here. And the winter is lasting a lot longer. Spring is starting a lot later, and when spring gets here, it's here for like a week and then it's gone. And that definitely has happened this year. We've had spring weather for about a week, and then it went back to winter for a few weeks. Then we had one more, maybe half week of spring, and now it is summer. It was 91 today. I did a garden tour for you. I did most of it, 2/3 of it this morning, and then it got so hot that I had to call it quits and come back and finish up this afternoon. Now, it's been a while since I posted, and for those of you who are interested in knowing why, I'll give you a brief rundown here. And for those of you who just want to get to the garden tour, I'll put a timestamp in the description below and in a pinned comment so you can just skip right on ahead. You might remember in a recent video, I brought home some new chicks. 14 of them, and all different varieties, and they were so cute, weren't they? Well, they grew up super fast. And it can be a problem to introduce new chicks to your older chickens, and to prevent that problem, and also because I just needed some more space, I built a new chicken run and a new add-on chicken coop to the chicken coop I already have. This was the first time I've ever used a circular saw, and really the first time I've used a power drill. I mean, I may have used one once or twice, but I can't really recall that. Thanks to YouTube, though, I was able to master both of those tools, and thanks to my son, who put in the posts for the long chicken run, I was able to accomplish building a very long chicken run and 2 more sections added to the original coop, which gives the new chicks, I can't really call them chicks anymore, they're pretty big, plenty of room to spread out and feel at home in their new surroundings. But that's not the only reason I haven't been making videos and doing garden tours. As I mentioned, our weather's been horrible, and most of the time it's been really cold and really rainy, and this has played havoc with my joints, and my back's been out, and yada yada, health issues combined with bad weather issues. But still, there was another reason, especially in the last, say, week and a half, that I have not been putting out a video. And I don't think any of you could possibly guess what that reason is, but go ahead and give it a try. Put it in the comments below if you think you know what very unusual reason, at least for me, for anybody that knows me, has prevented me from going ahead and getting a garden tour done and putting up a video. But be that as it may, I'm back on schedule now and have tons of videos to share with you about all kinds of fun and interesting stuff, updates on some of the experiments I've done, and a peek into, hey, am I moving or not? Am I still looking for new land? Hint, yes I am. But for now, let's get on with today's May 12th garden tour. First up is the bed next to the chicken orchard, and in it I have planted perennial flowers, bearded irises, as well as calendula. So I have 2 kinds of calendula, the strawberry blonde and the orange. I can't quite remember the name of that one. I'll pop it up on the screen for you. These have been doing very well here. They've been actually blooming all year. I started some more and transplanted them in here recently. Right back there. And up in front I have put in some pepper starts. A couple of cubanelles. 3 Italian pepperoncinis. A couple of Georgia flames in the semi-shade from the bearded irises. And there on the end, a sweet banana. These bearded irises have done very well in this location. I am going to divide them this fall and spread them out along the entire back length of this fence here. But I'm really pleased with how they've done, and they kind of provide a little shade and blockage from any little mice or squirrels that might try to get in there. Although I am putting up some hardware cloth very soon, so they won't be able to get in anyway, hopefully. Well, unless they climb all the way over the top. Another little transplant I did there in the corner, and some more strawberry blonde. I do make a salve from the calendula, but mostly I enjoy it for its beauty though, just as I do these bearded irises. Just this morning I transplanted, I think, 16 different peppers into this bed. I've got Tunisian Bakludi, I have Cubanelle, I have some Buena Maladas, and what else? Oh, a couple more Italian pepperoncinis, and some more Cubanelle, some more Buena Malata, some Corbaci, some Tequila Sunrise, and a few more sweet bananas. And there in the middle, I very late planted a bunch of gladiolus bulbs, purples and oranges, so we'll see if they come up. Probably not this year, maybe, but probably next year. Now we're going to take a look at the herb garden, which is in a narrow strip here next to the chicken run. Of course, I have herbs in other places too, but this is one of the main areas. Now, I almost cut my lemon verbena out because it was dead looking for so long, but instead I cut it way back, and from these dead looking branches have sprouted so much greenery in the last week. So I'm very pleased because lemon verbena has got to be the best smelling plant in all of my gardens. Vegetable gardens, perennial herbs, fruit trees, flowers. Yeah, lemon verbena, the smell of it is amazing. And it makes wonderful, wonderful tea. So just a note, in the spring, when it looks completely dead, you can cut it back, and cut it back hard. I do every year. This was all the way across my 4-foot pathway here. But don't cut it out because it will come back. Next to the lemon verbena, aside from walking onions, which I need to get out of there, is some rue, which I've let go to flower. The bees are appreciating that. And some marjoram and some sage looking really good there. Here we have a bunch of oregano, which, as oregano does, has self-seeded quite a few places, and I'll need to dig those up and transplant them or gift them away to some other people. And here I have some lime thyme. It has kind of a fluorescent look to it and a great flavor. And some self-seeded winter savory coming right off my huge winter savory plant here, which is amazing in stew in the winter and in stir fry in the summer. I've got an echinacea plant in here that I've been taking some of the leaves out because something's been having fun munching away on this, even though I haven't caught anything. But soon it should send up some flowers. Here, having gone to pretty flower, is my green sorrel. I need to cut all these flower stalks off now. I let it go for a little while, but then I cut them off so that the leaves can grow strong and big again. This is by far my chicken's favorite snack from the garden, is green sorrel. And it's amazing in stir fry as well. More oregano. Different variety here. And going crazy, as it always does early in the spring when it's sunny and warm, but not super hot like we get later, is the lemon balm. I mean, it looks amazing. It has grown probably 2 feet high since its cut back level, since it started warming up. And it smells really good, and it makes a great tea as well. It doesn't do great during the summer here, but it survives. It does all right. It just, you have to be really careful when you water it. Basically only in the evening after the sun is completely gone, or early in the morning. We're talking like 5:30. So I usually do it in the evening because it's just too sensitive around here to the sun on its leaves. Fortunately, it's in a spot where it gets partial shade during the day. And across the walkway from the herb bed, I've got my artichoke bed. These are perennial globe artichokes. They come back every year. They actually spread, kind of like, asparagus and rhubarb. So you can go ahead and dig up the pups from underneath and put them somewhere else. They are really tall this spring. I have, let's see, that is about, I guess, 9 feet tall at least. Yeah. Now, a secret for you, if you haven't seen me talk about artichokes before, is that I don't particularly love artichokes. I like them, but no one else in my family really eats them. So I usually harvest a few to eat, but then I leave the rest to flower because, wow, artichokes, if you've never seen them flower, are absolutely vibrantly gorgeous purple. Almost fluorescent. And the bees love them, of course. Just a real sight to behold in the garden. So yeah, I usually let them just go to flower. Next to the artichokes, I've got my borage forest, which about 85 to 95% of it will be cut down the next tour you see. Some of them, like the one here, is still looking really good. They're still really green, lots of blue flowers. Those star flowers, by the way, are so delicious in salads or if you candy them. The leaves, on the other hand, you've got to take young. Then they taste like cucumbers and are good in salads. But as soon as they get a little bit older, they get prickly, hard to touch, and not good to eat. But such a great nitrogen fixing plant. This is a fabulous plant for your soil. So when I cut them down, you can see over here, these have yellowing leaves. They're just old. They've been around quite a while now. I will cut them right at surface level. I'll then take everything I've cut down and put it in other beds and in some containers that I'm going to be planting up soon. It makes a wonderful feed down low in the container and in your beds buried under the soil you're going to plant in. The earthworms and all the various life under the surface will really enjoy feasting on borage leaves and borage branches. Still have a ton of volunteer chamomile to go ahead and harvest. I've been harvesting it all along. One little note about chamomile, until the sun fully comes out, a lot of your flowers will look like they're dead. But as the sun comes out more fully, the petals open up and you just pop them off to harvest them. You can use them fresh or dry in tea. I like to dry quite a lot for the winter, but also drink chamomile tea fresh, even iced. That's really good, especially if you add in some chocolate mint. And those pretty pink flowers are Mexican poppies. I planted as an experiment one tiny little piece about 3 inches that broke off of my larger plants out front. And sure enough, it takes off. It doesn't need any watering. It does spread. It is probably what some would consider invasive, but it's also very easy to tear out, and it's so pretty. Very surface level roots, so not hard to get out if you need to. I just love it. Now, once I do take the borage out of the bed here and these walking onions out of this bed here, I'll be planting these 2 beds up, probably with some of my tomatoes, and I have a few more peppers to put in. I'm growing a lot of peppers and tomatoes this year, and tomatillas, so that I can continue to make salsa. Salsa was my big discovery last year. I have made it before, but I've never canned it, so I did a lot of water bath canning, and we have enjoyed salsa all winter and spring. It's been wonderful. So yes, growing a lot of tomatoes and a lot of peppers. Here I've got some Sweet 100 cherry tomatoes, along with some marigolds. I tried peas again. I try every year, and they get eaten up by everything. Everything loves the peas. But mixed in there, I've got a loofah and another loofah there. Those were gifts from Renee over at RB the Garden Nanny. Some marigolds and another Sweet 100. And over on this end, I've got, let's see, this is a acorn squash, I think. Yes. And that one too over there, acorn squash, along with some society garlic. Now behind my artichoke bed and this bed to my right that's full of borage right now, as well as the cherry tomatoes and the loofahs and the acorn squash, I've got 2 beds right here. One of them is full of, it's hard to see from here, let me get in close, red Roselle Hibiscus. I know, they're little right now, but I have 12 red Roselle Hibiscus planted in this bed, and I can envision what they're going to look like in the fall, and I can't wait. They're so gorgeous. Of course, they've got the beautiful pink hibiscus blooms, but then those calyxes, Yes, definitely they make wonderful tea. That's the basis of all the red zinger tea that you get in the store. But so much better because you're growing it yourself. However, my favorite new thing is to make red Roselle jam. It has the most unique, citrusy, zingy, wonderful flavor. I absolutely am in love with it. Now at the end of this bed, I've got 2 plants here that pretty sure are blackberries, but right over here, I have 2 plants that I'm pretty sure are raspberries. You know, I did that thing where I was positive I would not forget which was which, so I didn't put a label, and I have forgotten which is which. So I'm going to have to wait and see when they fruit. In the middle is a beautiful perennial pineapple sage. And down on the end here, I've got some, thinking it's baby butternut squash. So bad. 2 more on this side. They're looking pretty good. They went through a little bit of transplant shock, but seem to have recovered. Again, we'll know for sure when they start fruiting. But over here, these 3 are still getting over their shock. Their leaves are a little bit yellow, not all of them, but some of them. But it's always encouraging to see the new growth because it's coming up a nice good shade of green. And these, again, are, I think, baby butternuts. I did only plant acorns and baby butternuts so far, I think. Oh dear. And right over there I've got a Swiss chard, and that is a sun gold cherry tomato, my favorite. Some beautiful orange gazanias. My lime tree, which just a few weeks ago was looking really sad, has lots of new growth, and it is full, just full of blossoms. So I'm very pleased about that. And the bees are really in there working. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have a lot of limes this year. Down in here I've got some more gazanias amidst the borage forest. Virginia Itea sweet spire. Some more gazanias. Here we've got a thyme. And next to all this volunteer chamomile, I've got rainbow Swiss chard and green Swiss chard growing in here. Doing pretty well. And a society garlic, which smells divine. And working my way up the northernmost side of my garden, next to my steps, right here, a ton of oregano going nuts around some osteospermum. And right here, I've got an Owari Satsuma semi-dwarf mandarin, brand new to the garden. I might be moving it. I'm not sure I want it here. This gets absolute full sun all day, so I might move it where it gets some afternoon shade. All right, past the white alyssum and the volunteer ruby red lettuce and all that volunteer oregano, I've got some orange gazanias looking pretty as they start to open in the sun. Some of the roses that I dug up out of the ground. This happened because I transplanted some, special roses from the backyard to the front yard. And lo and behold, a few months later, all of these volunteer roses came from the roots that had been left underground. And some people don't like these kind of roses, but I find them really pretty. As long as I keep them in containers, they're not going to spread. And tell you what, that spot, a year and a half, 2 years later, it's still producing more volunteer rose bushes. Speaking of volunteers, I've got more volunteer ruby red lettuce, which I have been harvesting all winter and spring. The freesia is basically done. There's only a few little pink blooms left, but the gazanias, which really enjoy intense sunlight and heat, have taken over from the freesia. Also the scabiosa, the purple pincushion flowers are looking good. And more roses. Also, got another Owari Satsuma. These are the best mandarins, both for taste and for their ability to handle the heat and the cold in the winter. We get down to about 27 degrees Fahrenheit several times a winter, and these Satsumas handled it just great. Little echinacea there about to bloom. Purple tree collard went to flower and seed. I got to cut those off so it can concentrate on growing its leaves nice and big the way I love them. This is the only green I grow really anymore because it tastes so delicious. It's so hardy, at least here in Zone 9B it is, and it, provides food all year round. Usually the leaves are much bigger. Let me show you one where I didn't let it go to flower, and you can see how big the leaves are in it. So take a look at this. My hand, it doesn't even cover half of it. It's huge and healthy and delicious. Highly recommend growing purple tree collard. And this one's only waist high. It hasn't even got that big yet. Here by my back door in some containers, I have flowers and walking onions and some bush beans. And we're at the back part of my garden, or should I say the upper part of my garden on the west side. I have an improved Meyer lemon here, as well as a smoke tree. Isn't that beautiful? Love the color of those leaves. And right here, a star ruby grapefruit. I didn't expect it to fruit this year. It's brand new to my garden, but I do see a few blossoms on it, so we shall see. Got my crepe myrtle with the beautiful burgundy leaves. Some lovely snapdragons that are perennial here. They're probably 3 or 4 years old at this point. Some erysimum, some more of those roses, and some vibrant purple erysimum here. This one's probably 5 years old. Does really well in containers. Got some things seeded down here. That is a cutting Virginia ITS Sweet Spire. And here are 2 of my Lushauer paprika pepper plants. This is one of the experiment plants I'm growing this year. I'm going to make my own paprika. And I've got 2 of them right here. I've got another one in another section of the garden. Here is another crepe myrtle. This one is, I think, with the green leaves, I think this is the pink flowering one. Or is this the purple? One of them flowers pink and one flowers purple. This is one reason I do videos. I have a record of it so I can refer back to it and remember. Hiding back here behind the erysimum is an olive tree. I do dig up seedlings of olive trees around my place and plant them in containers so that if and when I move, I can take olive trees with me. Another thing I'm taking with me are my purple tree collards, so I'm always taking cuttings and sticking them in the ground, and they grow beautifully and easily. Loquat tree filling out and doing well, and this is my, my berry bed and green onions along all the sides. Yes, walking onions do super well in the holes of the cement blocks, and then within the center I have peach sorbet blueberries growing here, as well as here. And on this side I have 2 raspberry shortcake plants, and I can see it's putting on berries, so that's exciting. Lining the cement blocks here, I have a bunch of canna lilies. I just transplanted them here very roughly. I don't treat them in a precious way at all, and they're all bouncing back, and they're gonna do fine here. Here I've got 2 gooseberry plants, hoping that they will fruit this year, but maybe not. This is only their second spring here, so they're only about 1.5 years old. And then I have a bunch of strawberries, which I can see have given me quite a few berries I need to get in there and harvest, because everywhere I look, there's more. Next to the berry bed, I have my asparagus bed. This morning I just started putting some dead lemongrass fronds down to mulch it, and we'll see how that goes. I'm going to add some more asparagus down to this end soon. This is an autumn olive. If you've never had an autumn olive, I love the taste. They're small and they're unusual, and I absolutely love them. They are invasive back east, but out here they're not. And I've got mine in containers, so I'm not worried about that at all. Got another one right here. They've only been in these containers a few months, so don't expect any fruit this year. Forgot to show you this morning, but next to that pepper bed, I have this empty bed. Last year I grew watermelon, Moon and Stars watermelon here, Hubbard squash, and broomstock sorghum. broom something sorghum. It was real pretty. Anyway, this year I'm going to be growing zucchini here, as well as delicata and moon and stars. And I will be direct sowing those probably tomorrow and the next day. Remember what I was saying about how the gazanias and the chamomile really open up when the sun is fully out? Well, there you go. Perfect example. Even the chamomile showing us just how much it loves full sun and really doesn't care much at all about water, either one of these two flowers. I've got this bed, and right now it is half full with broccoli, which looks super small, but I have harvested several little sprouts, enough to make a stir fry, although I tend to want to just munch them in the garden. But overall, I wasn't very pleased with how these did here. They just didn't grow. There's my one sunflower that came up. I planted 12 or 15 in a row, all the same seeds, same soil, and only that one came up. I have to think that the birds got them. So we'll be replanting sunflowers. Right here at the head of the bed, I have my Sun Gold tomatoes, my absolute favorite tomato. And we have flowers already on both of them, so that makes me really happy. This little conglomeration of containers is a mixture of flowers and mint. And here in front, I've got some bush beans going on. Actually, there's some more right there, but I haven't finished planting here, as you can see. Some things like these yellow snapdragons are perennial. And here I've got a sunshine blueberry coming back and starting to fruit. And when I say coming back, I'm talking about the horribly cold winter we had. It really did a number on a lot of my plants. Rhubarb here, still adjusting to the fact that it's in more sun than it likes because the large male mulberry tree at my fence hasn't fully leafed out yet. However, the rhubarb I put in the ground over here by the new chicken run is doing just great. It may look slightly droopy right now, but like squash, it's doing that to conserve the water. This area used to have a young apple tree, but fire blight took that. So now I'm going to have to either plant another tree or more than likely bring over a container that has a young tree in it. And I'll put a few of those strategically between these rhubarb. Now you'll notice this one and even this one are very low growing, starting to send out new shoots from the ground. That's probably because it was disturbed quite a bit when we put in the new posts and had to dig behind them, but they have bounced back nicely. I also have a few rhubarb in this large planter next to the fence. Not sure how they're going to do here, but we shall see. I have room on both sides to put something else. I'm thinking I'm going to line the back with a bunch of sunflowers and maybe some squash on either end to hang over the side. And there I've got my asparagus. I've let it go to seed. Next year I will be harvesting it. And guess what I see coming up in this container next to the asparagus? Do you know what those are? Well, I believe they're baby zinnias, because I had a ton of zinnias growing in this container last year. So I'm thinking they self-seeded. We shall see. The corkscrew willow has sent out lots of new growth and is just beautiful, as is right next to it the honeysuckle. I've got two varieties growing here. They're both in bloom and they both smell delicious. I want to make some honeysuckle tea. I'd also like to try out making a honeysuckle body salve like I do with my calendula. It'd be beautiful, and I think it would smell absolutely amazing. My sweet bay tree's looking good. Take a look at the cosmos. This is the first time I've been successful with seeding and growing cosmos, and I just love them. They're so delicate and pretty. Lots of purple tree kale cuttings going on here. I will always have these with me wherever I go. More flowers coming up. One of my favorite buys at the nursery visit I went on recently are these lovely purple and yellow nemesia. Not sure I'm going to plant them here, but I put them here to see if they like this microclimate, which is afternoon shade, and they do. So they'll be going somewhere nearby. And here next to the berry bed is a brown turkey fig that I started from a cutting. Fig trees are so easy to grow from cuttings, and they grow true. A gorgeous purple salvia right in front of one of my olive tree seedlings that has taken off. Do you know what this is? I bet Nicole from Nicole Smith Gardening knows. Tick seed, or as I like to call it more lovingly, coreopsis. Notice it's in a container so it doesn't spread everywhere. Some beautiful blue flowers that I always forget the name of. I always want to say lobelia because the name does start with an L, and they're blue, but they're not lobelia. It'll come to me when I'm done with the video. Some rudbeckia coming back, some lovely purple alyssum with some more olive tree seedlings, some more roses, some absolutely outstanding purple and white alyssum in the same container that my kumquat tree is in. Now this kumquat tree actually took quite a beating over the winter. In fact, 2 weeks ago, all the leaves on it were yellow and it had lost a lot of leaves. But since then, as you can see, lots of new growth. So I'm not at all worried about it. And I did have quite a harvest about a month ago. But yeah, kumquats are really good with the cold, but we did have a very, very cold winter, as I've said. So yeah. Oh, also, that blue plant I told you about, I broke off a piece accidentally about 2 inches long. I stuck it in the dirt with this recovering blueberry bush. And lo and behold, it took off, so pretty easy to root. Now that I know that, I'm probably going to start a lot more of them. And in my cement bed over here, I have walking onions and gazanias in the holes on the outside. Right in the middle of the bed, I have a gorgeous Gara plant, which should be blooming very soon. It's just sending out a bunch of new growth here. And yes, I have lots of all different color gazanias. And in the bed, I put in a bunch of bush beans, and they're all doing well, all the way down the row. So I think that they like this spot here in the garden. Now this is not Bermuda grass. You know what this is? I've been finding this grass everywhere this year. And what it is the birds who have been eating some of the chicken scratch, they're dropping millet seeds. That's what I believe that is, millet. I'm finding it everywhere. That's okay. I'll just take it and feed the grass to the chickens. They'll love it. Some more purple tree kale. This one growing in one of those metal troughs. Now, when you have leaves like this that are shot, you're not going to eat it. Guess what? They make fabulous compost. Tree kale and collards make the best compost tea. So this is what I call purple gold. And this is what I call dinner in a stir fry. Well, that was a long tour, wasn't it? But believe you me when I say we didn't cover all of it. My fruit orchard's doing well. The other side of the backyard where I've got kind of a mixture of veggies and fruits, it's all going great, including those tree collards and the elderberry that I transplanted in that video I did a couple weeks ago. So, you know, count yourself lucky. It wasn't as long as it could have been. But I do appreciate you watching, and I do appreciate you subscribing and liking the video so YouTube will share it with more people. And if you've got a channel, please let us know in the comments below so we can check your channel out too. I love following other gardeners on YouTube and actually other interesting channels, even if they're not to do with gardening. So feel free to share. And stay tuned in the weeks and months ahead, because of course during summer we'll have lots of tours, and I'll be sharing lots of things you can be making with all of the produce you're growing. I can't wait to see all those red Roselle Hibiscus growing. Oh, it's going to be so pretty. And at the end of summer, we'll be taking some road trips looking for land. If there's anything more exciting than designing and growing perennial gardens, both edibles and ornamentals, it is designing and growing another one. Remember, you can create the garden and the life that you want. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, and why not start right now? See you next time, everyone.